everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Glow Up Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. I feel like I was about to mess up that intro and then I pulled it through. And you know what's funny? I have considered pre-recording that intro, but I'm like, it doesn't hit the same, I feel. I don't know. What do you guys think about the intro? I feel like I've been saying it for so long that it's so automatic that I don't know how to start the podcast without saying it. Anyways, girls, we need to talk, and we need to talk about money. And quite frankly, we need to get our ish together when it comes to our personal finances. And that is the episode for today. Now, if you are new here, we have a glow up series that we are doing on the podcast channel, or if you're listening to Spotify and Apple, so you can totally go back. This is what is this now? I should know. I should absolutely know. 5 or 6. I don't know. It's indeed 6. And I'm really excited to talk about this because I love talking about finances. I like talking about like changing your mindset when it comes to finances and moving from scarcity to more abundance and being more stress-free with money. I used to be very, very, very stressed when it came to money because I didn't come from money. And I was quite frankly living in survival mode in many areas of my life. And one of the biggest areas was my finances. I was in debt. I had no help, absolutely no help from my mom. Well, obviously she helped me as much as she could, but I mean really financially, like I didn't have parents who gave me money. We didn't even own a home. Like we own nothing. My family as well, like the extended family, like they can't really help me out or they couldn't really help me out. Like I'm telling you, like we didn't come from money. Okay, baby. Times were really tough. And I honestly think that one of my biggest accomplishments in my life so far has been getting myself out of a very low income place, debt, stress in general, just making a whole life for myself. And I want to give you guys some tips, some mindset shifts, and some practical things to help you because I know that literally everyone at some point in their life, they stress about money, making money, how to make money, how to change their mindset around money. And I did ask you guys on the podcast Instagram, which go follow if you're not already, if you want your daily dose, well, not daily because I don't post every single day, but weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, self-improvement, all that kind of stuff. And also you guys will get all the updates for the podcast. But I had asked you guys, and as well, the opportunity to submit a Q&A. I asked you guys what you wanted me to talk about in terms of personal finances. So I compiled a lot of your questions. So we're going to do like a Q&A and like chat at the end. But I just want to quickly run down a few things that I think are helpful in general when it comes to essentially getting your personal finance life together, mindset and practical. And on top of that, really just entering your rich girl era. And I had made a video and it has a lot of views on YouTube last year about how to enter your rich girl era. I dove deep into my story and I talked about practical tips, mindset shifts. So some of you guys might have watched that video, but either way, we will kind of condense it a little bit here. And I've kind of already mentioned, I didn't come from money. I struggled with being able to pay my way through school and health issues. And I had really unhealthy behaviors as well. I spent money on the wrong things. I had a lot of consumer debt, just in general, just like having so many health issues as well. And having an unhealthy relationship with food that actually cost me a lot of money. I also didn't really have any help when it came, I didn't have help when it came to going to college and stuff. So I had to get student loans and things. But even when it came to my first ever car that I got at a super high interest because I didn't have credit. My mom didn't have any credit to be able to co-sign for me. I had no one to co-sign. So I ended up getting myself I was able to pay everything. And at the end of the day, like I did what I needed to do. But I just got into really bad financial situations in a way because I didn't know any better. I didn't have any help. And quite frankly, I just had to do what I needed to do. But I definitely, absolutely made things a lot worse for myself by continuing to focus on the lack, to continue to stress about the fact that I didn't have this money or like there's this bill coming in or, just being super down and depressed about my financial situation. And there was a few shifts that I really had to make when I was, getting my life together when I was 18, 19, 20, going into your early 20s, you kind of have to figure things out and be really responsible. I had to be responsible even earlier age, but still, I was like still figuring things out. I realized that this vision that we all have, and I had it too, of the dream house, dream cars, dream life, the financial freedom, the time freedom, all of that. it was not going to come from one, me focusing on lack, being super stressed, complaining, whining, being super worried about my financial situation. And on top of that, it also wasn't going to come with the type of behaviors and the habits that I was doing when I was younger, which contributed to a lot more and not needed debt, honestly. And I think the first thing that really helped me be able to flip a switch was realizing my money story. So this is really important for you. When you are raised in a certain household, there is a story about money and how we're going to make money, how you get money in life. You might have came from a place where like money was very tight, money was very inconsistent. You only live paycheck to paycheck, whatever it was. I realized that I started to live out that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle because I was around parents who lived like that as well. And I wasn't really taught how to save your money or what it even means and why you should save your money. I wasn't really taught much about credit because my parents just didn't have good credit and they kind of were doing the only thing that they could do is really survive. And I don't throw shade at them because they did the best that they absolutely could. But I started to realize like, okay, wait, I need to think about why is it that I'm in this financial situation in the first place? I'm not trying to blame my parents, right? But a part of the reason why I am where I'm at right now is because I came from a family who, there was not that much education around finances and we were living in a lot of lack. And I realized that I needed to do things differently if I wanted a different result. It was very clear that I was repeating a pattern based off of family dynamics, but I realized that this doesn't have to be my truth. I don't have to have the same financial situation as my parents. Or let's say your parents are parents who tell you like you have to literally grind and burn yourself out and that's the only way you're going to make money, and or people who have a lot of money, they're very evil, and people have very odd beliefs about money, and for good reason, not good reason, but whatever it is, you need to realize that is their beliefs. Those are their decisions. That's how they lived. And you do have the ability to change that for yourself. But if you aren't even really aware of how you might be recreating certain dynamics, it can tend to be a little bit harder for you to actually change. It's the same thing of being like, if you're not self-aware, if you don't see yourself for who you are, how is it that you're really going to change certain things in your life? If you don't realize that you might be contributing to a certain problem, how are you really going to change the problem? It's not going to be you changing it from the outside. It starts with within. And this is not to blame yourself for parents' mistakes or your lifestyle or you grew up poor or whatever it is. That is your life story. Understand it. And now decide, let's change it. Now, the next thing that I did after I started to realize, okay, I basically come from a poor family, okay? Like, let's just be real. We're poor out here. It is what it is. But I realized that does not need to be my story. This is the thing. When people grow up poor, right? It's so hard for you to actually believe that it's even possible. And we'll get into that. But sometimes people can really fall down that rabbit hole and just be like, this is what it is. And I'm poor. And like, this is where we come from. Da, da, da. That's not going to be your story, okay? We don't need to be poor around here. But what I realized I needed to do when I realize, okay, I don't have money. I'm stressed all the time. I have debt, like all of these things that I don't have. I'm seeing everyone else going out and living their lives. Like I don't have parents to help me, blah, 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 blah. I started to get real with my financial situation because I realized that that's something that my parents didn't really do. And this is not to bag on my mom. Like, honestly, there's one thing about my mom, like she was a very hard worker. And listen, we was a family that would go on welfare here and there. Okay. We'd be going to the food bank. We'd be getting the stamps. We'd be doing the thing. But even my mom, like she would always really only use that when she needed to, and she would be working. Like she wasn't like, okay, like I'm just going to like live off of government money, this, that. And I'm not saying people who live off of government money, they're deciding to live off of government money, this, that, and the third, but I'm just saying. But one thing I did realize was there's not enough emphasis, there's not enough focus, there's not enough clarity on why we're in a financial situation in the first place and how to get out of that. And the first step is really being real with your financial situation, aka looking at your finances, being very aware of where you stand right now. And a lot of people don't even want to do this. People know what they want. They want the dream car on Pinterest. They want the home. They see all their friends going out shopping and doing this, that. I want this, that, and the third. But you don't really actually know where it is that you stand with your finances, other than like you don't have that much money, let's say. Okay, well, if we want to have a lot of money, if we want to have ourselves honestly stable and we want to feel super secure, we really need to sit down and look. and look at our habits, look at where our credit score is, look at our spending habits, understanding our story, and piggybacking off of you getting real with your financial situation and actually looking at it with a very fine-tuned, I was going to say fine-tuned comb. That's not what I meant. What is it called? Whatever. You guys already know what I mean. Okay, done. But this is to commit to no longer complaining, stressing, and living in the victim mentality, because this is the thing. You have to decide that this is no longer going to be your reality before things are really going to change. And I really struggled with this. I was in the victim mentality for so long when it came to my finances. And it's not about you choosing to be in this victim mentality. Like, I'm not saying you're complaining, like you're deciding to complain about money, this, that. Like, when things come up and your reality is showing you that you literally are poor, it's hard to not think about it. It's hard to not complain about it. But I started to realize I would just catastrophize everything. I would complain. I would stress myself out even more. And I would get myself into worse situations because I was looking at my financial situation as so terrible and so bad. And like, it was a scary thing to even look at. And so I think it's something when you go on a financial journey and you really want to get yourself sorted out, don't demonize the fact that you're in this place right now. Commit to not complaining anymore about your financial situation. Okay, we get it. You're in debt. You don't have a lot of money. Your spending habits are whack. Everyone else has money but you. Understand that those type of mindsets and thinking will not get you abundance. I promise you that. And I thought that I could get abundance by stressing about the fact that I was basically poor, and it did not work. Now, it's one thing to tell yourself to stop stressing about money, but then something happens and you start stressing about it. And I think what's really important here is to learn how to regulate your emotions and regulate your nervous system and practice moving from that scarcity mindset and looking at everything as like, oh my gosh, there's never enough. We don't know how things are going to happen, like very stressed, to more of the abundance, more of the trusting, more of the calm energy, calm nervous system. So I actually did make a journal guide, and it's called the Abundance Mindset. And I think that can be a helpful journal guide if you do really struggle and you realize you are constantly in scarcity, because it really is going to take some repetition, some mindset shifts every single day, journaling about reminding yourself of how you're safe and training your mind to focus on the positive, to focus on the things that are going well in your life. And simply, honestly, doing gratitude can be very, very huge here, because if you aren't focusing on what you have, then you naturally are going to continue to focus on what you don't have. And then more you focus on what you don't have, you don't take the right action towards getting yourself out of the situation usually. Usually you just keep attracting more shitty situations. And the last mindset shift that I do think really solidified me being able to actually take that action towards changing my financial life was telling myself that I was the only one getting in my own way. And again, this might be hard for people to think about, accept. Everyone's very much so in the blame game, and I get it. But coming from somebody who did not have money, I'm saying that I was the one that was getting in my own way because I was the one consistently stressing about money. I was the one having not the healthiest relationship with my finances and my spending. I decided for many reasons to continue to perpetuate a unhealthy financial relationship in general, because of my mindset, because of my habits, the things that I was not doing, the things I was slacking on. And if you want to be abundant, if you want to have money, I don't care what financial situation you are currently in. It's not going to be somebody else that's going to save you. You have to save yourself. This is not to mean that you can't get help here and there, or people can't support you, or you can't go and ask for help, or you can't go literally like listen to podcasts and get help, things like that, obviously. But I just mean in general, we empower ourselves here on the podcast, and you're the only one getting in your own way. Okay? So when I wanted to start taking action towards getting myself into a better financial situation, I had to really get clear on what my financial goals were. And this is something that you need to be clear on as well. Are you wanting to get out of debt? Do you want to just have more money in your savings? Do you want to be like having a certain amount of income to be able to go travel? Like, what is it? Getting super clear on your financial goals. Because once you have a goal, once you have a vision, you can now start to take those practical steps, those action steps towards getting yourself there. So I literally went through the consumer debt that I had. I pulled up my student loans and everything, and I got a very clear picture of how much I needed to pay off. And then I looked at my income and I said, okay, this is literally like any extra money I possibly can, I need to start throwing down onto my debt. And the faster that I do it, the quicker that I'm going to be out of this situation. And then I was able to actually start putting my money more into savings. And I think a lot of us, when we are trying to learn about personal finances and just finances in general, we hear about investing and saving and stocks and this, that, and it can be very overwhelming, and then we do nothing. But sometimes, actually, I think the most important thing is to start off very simple and just do one thing at a time. And honestly, if you come from a background where you're financially in the freaking dumps right now, it's sometimes hard to do both things. And when I mean both, I mean like paying off your debt, and at the same time you're saving a bunch of money, and at the same time you're like doing all this budgeting, and you're doing this, that, and the third. So kind of focusing on one goal at a time is definitely helpful. And for me, I chose to pay off my debt before even saving, because the higher the interest on any of your loans, the more you're losing money. You don't want to be losing money. Now, I had a goal to pay off my debt, and there was a few things that I did plan, which can be very helpful for you as well. Two things, honestly, that I want you to think about when it comes to getting your situation all figured out. And that was to first plan on how I was going to save more money so that I can put my money towards debt. So this wasn't like me saving money to put towards savings, but you could totally apply this as well if you weren't like paying off debt, whatever it is, right? Your goal. But the first thing is always, okay, how can I save more money? Well, a few things that you need to do is, for one, you need to see how much money you are spending, which a lot of people do not know how much they're actually spending. And then to make a budget, obviously, so that you can see, okay, this amount of money I need to put away from my debt, this amount of money I'm going to put towards my savings, this amount of money is going to go to food or go to rent. Like, obviously it depends. I'm not going to tell you like where you need to spend your money. It's going to be very dependent on your income, but it's so very important that if you want to be or hit any sort of goal, financial goal, you need to have a plan in place. And the best thing is to know where your money is coming in and out. And on top of that, to have a budget so that you can stay on track. And now when you look at where it is you're really spending a lot of your money, is it on coffee shops all the time? Is it going out with your friends more than you actually really think? Is it you spending a lot more money on Ubers or a lot more money on freaking water bottles going out because you forgot yours at home, or you're shopping a lot, or you're buying random things and you keep forgetting things so you have to rebuy them or whatever? Like, really taking a deep look at your spending habits and seeing, how can I save a little bit more money each month in each category? So whether that be like your entertainment or your food, or, well, you can't really do it for rent, but, or your phone bills, or like little things that add up. Like, honestly, you have to take a look. I think we all kind of know, you can easily go on Pinterest and pull up like a million infographics of ways in which you can save money on like subscriptions and this, that. But honestly, taking a very good look at some of the ways that you are kind of wasting your money. One thing that can be very helpful for people who spend a lot impulsively is to make a wish list, or like things that you want list. And I do this a lot of times on Amazon or wherever your favorite shop is, and putting things in your cart and not buying it until at least the end of the month. And then you see how much money you have in order to actually, like, if you really are somebody who like wants to buy things, okay, again, this depends on how much money you have. If you want to budget, let's say $100 is going to go towards my spend list. Okay, so at the end of the month, all of the things that you had added into your cart, you can use that $100 towards whatever it is that you want. Of course, if you have the money. But even if you don't, it's going to help you because you're not impulsively spending. You're just going to add things into the cart. And what's going to happen is you're going to look at the end of the month, and half of those items, you're going to realize, I don't want them. And, or if you had bought them, you probably wouldn't have used that. And listen, I used to do this all the time with books. I would hear somebody talk about a book and I would instantly add to cart and buy it right then. And then I would always buy these books and I would like never really read them, or would have like literally 12 of them before I could even get to the first one. Like, it didn't really make sense. And so I had to get real with myself and realize, okay, I'm not even utilizing my money very well by spending it on random things. And like, how many uses am I getting out of these things? So I think what can be helpful is just to put, some of the things that you're really looking forward towards buying, and just put it on a cart, on a list, or whatever. And then at the end of the month, buy yourself something nice if you have the money for it, if your budget allows it. One note when it comes to saving more money is you have to kind of remind yourself sometimes of the fact that it's not going to be forever, okay? Because I know people don't like budgets and we don't like to, save and this, that, but it will not be forever. And I will give you some more advice on that because I think someone else had already asked me that question. Now, ideally, simultaneously, you want to be learning how you can save more to put that money towards your debt or put it towards a goal that you're really working towards in your life. And at the same time, making a plan to make more money. Because this is the thing. We can do our absolute best to save on little things that we are like overspending on or get ourselves on a budget. But at the end of the day, we can't deny that a lot of people are struggling financially because they just are not getting paid enough. Now, coming back from this victim versus abundance really mindset, I have never really been somebody who has complained about, oh, the hourly wage is this, that, and the other. I just realized, okay, then I need to make more money. Because again, me focusing on the lack, me focusing how society is built this way and it's just like hard for everyone, that's not going to get me what I want. And this is not to ignore the fact, okay, that there are people who are not getting paid their worth and this, that. But in my reality, I get to choose what I want to happen in my life. No matter how long that's going to take me, I am going to take that action to get myself at a place where I want to be. And that is what I did. So I focused on how do I make more money? Well, for me, when I was figuring out what I wanted to do in college, I was serving and I was bartending because I knew that that was going to make me the most money an hour. And I worked all the time. And I was always working on myself, even outside of work. I was always doing something, which we're going to get into. And even when I was done school and I was working at a tech company that wasn't really paying me that much an hour, I was like, okay, I can only save so much. I need to get my ass up and get another job. And on top of that, I need to start really putting my time and attention into a job that's going to actually get me how much money that it is that I want in my life to sustain and whatever. And so taking a look at your life and realizing, for one, okay, what can I do to make more money? Okay, well, maybe that is getting a second job. And this is the thing that people don't really love to hear and they don't want to do it. And that is really, sometimes you have to sacrifice things. I was working so freaking much. I was working 2 jobs and I was deciding to work on my social media at this time because I realized that even when I was working these 2 jobs and busting my ass, although I was making more money, it was really still me working very hard and not smart because I knew I was kind of capped at how much money that I could make. And I knew that if I became an entrepreneur, if I became a content creator, if I became somebody who owns their own business and has all of these things going for herself, there's endless amounts of potential when it comes to money. And so I knew that I needed to put any extra time that I had towards building out that life, putting my time and attention into learning how to become a content creator or how to make money or how to make whatever it is that I was trying to do. I invested my money, all the money that I did have, I invested it back into myself so that I could be that value for other people and for me to also bring in money that way as well. So obviously I'm not saying like you guys are going to become content creators, whatever, but whatever it is, like your dream career, you want to really be seeing, okay, well, am I putting all of my time and my effort into becoming this version of me who has this career? Because realistically, there's going to be some things that you have to sacrifice right now in order for you to get to that job. You might not have the highest paying job right now, but in order for you to get that high paying job, there's going to be things that you need to do, like putting your time and attention into refining a skill or taking a new course or saving up your money instead of spending it on going out with your friends, like, and I mean like partying and wasting your money and putting it towards a course to take or, an extra this, that, or the third, whatever it is that you have to do. And I know it can be hard sometimes for people to even have a dream career and like focus on what they really want because their situation in their life is demanding of them to just take whatever job that they can get. But that's fine. You can still work towards your dream life, your dream career while working a job you don't like. This doesn't have to be forever. I reminded myself of that all the time. Like I'm working towards something so much bigger, but the only way I'm going to get that bigger thing is if I commit to, yes, working this job or working in fast food or working in the restaurant industry or doing a job job that I don't absolutely like, but some people don't even want to do that, or they don't even want to sacrifice. Okay, yeah, you know what? This year I'm probably not going to be going out and partying and doing all of these things because I have goals, but you have to remind yourself of that big goal. And that's why it's so important for you to get clear with the vision that you hold for yourself, for your life. What do you want your home to look like? Think about your kids. Think about your marriage. If you're going to have a marriage, like, you know, these require you being financially stable. When we focus on the present so much of the spending and the going out and this, that, and social media and comparison, it's no wonder sometimes that we get in these financial situations that are kind of crappy because we don't have that bigger vision. We don't have that bigger goal. So it's so important for you to take some time and get clear with that vision that you want to see yourself living or just being in 5-10 years down the line. I got very, very clear with that when I was younger, and I literally am living out that dream now. But again, it's not just the goal and you having that vision, it's you deciding, okay, now I have to take that action. How am I going to save more money? How am I going to make more money? And even if I can't make more money, like I can't actually get a second job right now because my situation, this, that, and the third, then how can I put my time, the extra amount of time that I have, learning a new skill or giving myself that ability to continue to prosper in a job that I'm already at? Like, you can do something. Okay, so let's get into the questions you guys had asked. And if you're watching on YouTube, the lighting changed a lot because the sun is going down. I also think that this camera angle is a little bit off, but whatever. Doesn't matter, does it? Nope, it doesn't. Okay, so somebody asked, can you talk about overcoming the scarcity mindset when it comes to spending money? I think that this takes a lot of deep healing work, honestly, and really reprogramming your mind. It's not going to be like tomorrow you flip a switch and you can just tell yourself like, oh, I can spend money because money is abundant. Well, no, if you've lived life not having money at all and you have all these beliefs about how you're going to get money and success and where you were grown up, and if you don't know a lot about finances and you haven't really sat down and made plans for yourself, it's going to be hard for you to kind of gaslight yourself into believing like to not be stressed about spending money. So I do think the most important thing when it comes to really changing your financial life is to focus on your mindset and your beliefs around money. And I think that my journal guide can be very, very helpful for you because you can kind of go deeper as to where your beliefs first came from, learning how to cultivate a new relationship, aka an inner voice towards the part of you that is living in scarcity and does feel like they need to always think about money and stress about money, and really your inner child that's just wanting you to feel safe, really. So I mean, I can tell you to like tell yourself a little affirmation when you're spending money and like remind yourself that, you know, you are deserving of you spending money on this, or like practically you can tell yourself if you're going to the grocery store and you're spending, it feels like a lot of money, well, you need the food, like you can tell yourself that, sure. But if you have these deep limiting beliefs about money and you're living in scarcity and in fight or flight in general, then it's going to take a little bit more work, which is totally fine because I had to do that. And then I'm oh my God, I'm completely different. But on top of that, I do think having practical structures in your life will help ease your anxiety and stress around money. I always felt so much better, even though I looked at my financial situation as like, oh my gosh, there's so much debt and it's going to take this long or that long or whatever. Me just having a plan made me feel so much better. And then every single month when I was paying down debt or I was putting money towards something, I felt a little bit closer to my goals and I felt more at ease. And, you know, the times that I did get triggered when, you know, something came up or I had to spend money, I was able to tell myself like, you are on track. You're doing the best that you can. Someone asked, what's a good way to save your money for a car, apartment, trips, whatever, etc. And I honestly just think that as soon as you get paid, again, this comes back to you having a budget, you having your goals listed out. But as soon as you get money, your money hits your bank account, you're putting how much money you need for whatever it is that you're looking for away before anything else. That is what I do. I obviously am literally a business owner. So like I have to do like my accounting. Obviously I go get someone to actually do my taxes and things like that. But I have a lot of money coming to me from different brand deals and AdSense, coaching and my products and just a lot of things. And every single time that I get paid, I have different like spreadsheets of my goals and where I want my money to go to and how much money I need to put away for taxes and how much money I need to put away for emergency funds and investments and things like that. But that is the first thing that I am doing before anything else. So if you have a goal, when you get your money, put that money away. Simple as that. Somebody asked tips for budgeting as a teenager with no job because I get money from my parents. And then she went on to say, I can save, but I want to have a better system in place. Listen, we don't have to make things very difficult because realistically, okay, most people, if you have like a normal regular job, you're getting paid like twice a month, and or like let's say you're only getting paid like once a month from your parents or giving you a certain amount of money. So just make it a bi-weekly or a monthly sit down session where you're going over your finances, you're putting your money where it needs to go depending on your budget. That is what I do. I literally did my bookkeeping actually today. It was a few days off, but usually I do it at the beginning of the month. Bookkeeping is really only if you like obviously have a business, because I'm expensing things and I'm writing down what I spent and how much money I made, things like that. But in general, just having a monthly practice and taking your money as soon as you get it and putting it away. Someone asked me to talk about debts and living in your 20s, as well as advice on student loan debt. And I think the first thing is to not stress yourself out about this. I know it's very hard to not stress about the fact that now you have debt and student loans and like all of these things, but you will not make your situation any better by you just looking at how daunting it's going to be or how many years it's going to be and this, that. Like, it's okay. And by the way, a lot of people are in the same situation as you. You are not the only one. So focus on what actions you can take, and that's really it. There's no point on dwelling. There's no point on like getting mad at yourself. It is what it is. Of course, you want to make sure that you're taking the right actions moving forward so you're not getting yourself more into debt and taking a look at where you're spending money and how to make more money. But at the end of the day, do not stress about it, please. You're in your 20s. I get it. But I think my biggest tip though, when it comes to your student loans or like debt really in general, is you have to make a plan now. I don't care how much money you have or you do not have. You make your plan, and whatever you can put towards your debt or your student loans every month, you're doing it. I don't care if it's the minimum payment. I don't care if it's a tiny amount and it feels like your student loan or your consumer debt is you just spending. It's not about school. It's like literally you going shopping and just like wasting your money, that kind of stuff. Whatever it is, you're putting some money towards paying things down. You have to start doing it. You're going to have to do it eventually, so you might as well start sooner rather than later. Someone said, how to not feel bad about buying things for yourself and trying new things to find yourself. And I thought that was really interesting because you kind of answered your own question here. It's like, you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to figure out what you like in life. How can you feel bad about that? Obviously, of course, we want to make sure that we have enough money to be like doing these things. So I'm going to assume that you have some sort of budget that allows you to go and like spend money on yourself. But this, you have to, and I know people like this, one of my like really good friends, they really struggle with, spending any money on themselves. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we can be on one side or the other of like spending too much money and like going ham. But then there's people who won't spend a dime on themselves, but it's like, okay, then you're not living though. Like, you're making all of this money for what? You being hyper focused on saving every dollar is also the scarcity mindset. And a lot of people don't look at it because it's like, oh, this person's really good with their finances and they don't spend money on them at all, like themselves at all. And listen, we don't have to judge people for how they spend their money, whatever. Absolutely. If you are that type of person that doesn't want to spend your money on things, of course, great. And realistically, it's good that you probably don't. But at the end of the day, that's also a scarcity mindset when you want to hold on to your money so hard because you believe that if you spend it, it's bad, it's wrong, and or if you spend it, it's not going to come back. Like, you really have to think about, honestly, you have to look at your actions, and your actions will tell you a lot about what you believe about money in the world in general. So I think what can help with people who are very like in that scarcity mindset and holding their money, then you might be in a very good financial situation, but you're kind of like not living your life, is to have a little bit of a budget where you have a little bit of money, whatever feels good to you, where you are going to allow yourself to spend it on whatever it is that you want. So maybe you have to start small, but just having this money set out for yourself. And I think that what can help is having that budget and reminding yourself like, okay, all my other bills are paid. All things are good here. I'm allowed to spend this money. Me spending this money right now is not going to affect anything other than allow me to go and explore and find myself. And again, what is the point in you hoarding all this money, investing and saving and doing all these things if you don't live your life? At some point, you have to live your life. Someone wanted me to talk about impulsive spending on things that are not in your budget. You definitely want to go deeper because usually there's always some emotion or some sort of thing that you don't know how to process before you go and you want to impulse buy. So really tapping into what am I feeling? What is triggering me right now to make me go and spend? A lot of the times it can simply just be social media. Sometimes it's fear of missing out. Sometimes it's you just like not being like, you have this, honestly, it's like Gen Z effect of you just like wanting things right now. So getting better at not withholding, but putting things off and setting goals and you working towards goals instead of you just giving yourself that dopamine kick right away. Like that's not a healthy thing to do. Like I had already said, having a spending wish list. So at the end of the month, you have a certain amount of money and you're putting it towards that. So you don't feel very restricted, because I know some people struggle with, not being able to not overspend, because when you tell them to go on like some sort of budget or you think about it, you're just like super restricted. So you have to start very, very small. Someone asked me, how high should your emergency fund be? And I think anywhere from 3 to 6 months of whatever your expenses are currently at. And if anyone doesn't know what an emergency fund is, it's essentially like if you lost your job tomorrow, you would have at least 3 to 6 months worth of savings for you to be able to like live as you find a new job or whatever. Realistically for me though, when I was in a really bad financial situation, I had zero savings. I had no money to put towards emergency funds. And to be honest, and this is just what I did, I'm not saying you have to do this, but for me, I just wanted to intensely pay down my debt because my debt was the thing that was the highest interest. So I was losing a lot of money. So, some people will say like put money towards paying down your debt and at the same time put it in the savings. I think having some sort of savings can be very helpful. But for me, I would rather pay down the things with the highest amount of interest and get it away. And then I'll be able to bank that money that I'm no longer paying down on my high interest loans. And then I'm putting it towards my money. So that's how I did it. And obviously now I don't have to do that. I'm just basically putting all my money into stocks, investments, emergency funds, things like that. But honestly, like that's such a blanket statement. When I heard 3 to 6 months of savings, I'm like sitting here like, girl, I don't even got a week of savings. Like what you mean 3 to 6 months? So you just have to do what you can do in your own financial situation. Do not let these blanket statements deter you from you sitting down and looking at your financial situation and figuring out a plan for yourself. Someone said, my family is broke and I'm young and I want to change this. What can I do? And I think the advice that I gave at the beginning of this episode of being like, your family situation doesn't need to be yours. It might be yours right now because let's say like you're relying on them and you live with them and maybe you're young so you can't really make that much money. Like that's fine. But just always reminding yourself of being very careful with the mindset that you are building, because you're building a mindset right now about finances and money in general. You are, even if you don't really realize that. And so trying to tell yourself a new story about money, like this is my situation, but it's not going to be like this forever. There's going to be ways that I can get out of this. And depending on your age, start looking on how it is that you're going to make money. And if you can't get a job yet, okay, well, what skills, what talents, what things are you going to be pouring into yourself in which you will be able to pick up opportunities when the opportunity arises? Get prepared. You can do this. Someone said, how to get past the first few months of saving / feeling like you're on a budget / like you're not allowed to spend. And I totally get that. It feels like crap sometimes when you feel like you're on a budget, but try your best to always look at this budgeting or you setting up your financial situation as a positive thing in your life. There's a reason why you're doing this, okay? You have to focus on that end goal, your goal. Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? That home, that family, that financial freedom, like reminding yourself of the positive. This doesn't have to be a negative thing. Having a budget, getting yourself situated is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing that you're doing for yourself. Also reminding yourself that it's not going to be forever, because I think sometimes when we feel like we're on our budget, it's like, oh my God, this is forever, this, that, and the third. I think what also helps is you actively, instead of focusing on the fact that I have to budget and I have no money, put your focus on something that's going to be more prosperous for you. So, second job. So, you're putting your time, your free time into something that will eventually be able to bring you to a higher level, to bring you more money. put that focus in somewhere where it's taking that action instead of focusing on the things that you don't have or the crappy situation. I promise you it will really help. Someone asked me to talk about how to start investing, what resources to use, how much money should you be putting away into investments depending on your income, and also how to start when you still have debt or low income. So first, I will definitely shout out my best friend Joy Yang because she talks about investing for beginners for sure. So definitely check out her TikTok, her Instagram, and I'll have it linked in the description show notes as well. But she is Canadian. I'm also Canadian. So things are a little bit different in Canada versus wherever you're living. This is something that I did, and you can take it or leave it. This is kind of maybe like a little bit of a blueprint where you could start. If you have debt, focus on paying off your debt. And how you focus on that is to have goals, to have a vision, to have a budget, to see where you're spending your money, learning how to save more money, and learning how to make more money. Now, whether you have been saving while you're in debt or not, either way, putting more money away in your savings. Now, what I mean by savings, though, is not in a just regular savings account. And now there's a difference between savings accounts when it comes to like things that you want to have money for, like travel, buying a new bag, or going on an experience. These are more like short-term financial goals in which this is money where you most likely will pull it out in the next, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 5 years. And guys, I'm literally just like throwing out timelines here. It's you can go online and like look at it yourself. But to have ideally once you're out of like a really crappy situation, ideally to have some sort of account where you have money. So like when a trip comes up and you want to go out with your friends or like whatever it is, you have that money saved and you can pull it, and it's not really affecting your retirement savings or like anything like that, or your long-term investment. So you have an account with that short-term type of money that you might be pulling out, you might not. Now, where you put that money is kind of important. And where I put my money is in a high interest savings account. So essentially it's the same as like you putting your money at the bank, but you're getting some sort of return on you allowing the bank to hold your money, because essentially they're using your money, right? And so putting it in a bank like EQ Bank, that's the one I use. And I'll have a referral link in the description if I can get one. That's where I put my money. Any money that I'm not using towards the stock market. So this is different. This is literally just savings. Like I'm not making any money off of the money that I'm putting in this account, other than the fact that the bank is like giving me a certain interest back just for holding the money there. But it's not like growing. I'm not like investing. This is not investments. This is literally just savings. And also an emergency fund. Some people might put those together, but again, whatever. You're just having a certain percentage of your income. Again, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, maybe you like really want to like save a lot of money. You're putting that away and it's sitting there, but you are making a little bit of money on that. Putting your money into the stock market, where this is long-term investing. So your money is making anywhere from like 7% and upwards every single year that you put more money into that account. And on top of that, you're leaving that money in there for a very, very, very long time. Like this is money that you're not going to pull out until you want to invest in a home maybe, or you're retiring, whatever it is. Now, there's other retirement accounts depending on where you live, things like that. But to simplify it, you're paying off your debt, you're putting money into savings, so for your emergency fund and things that you actually want to use this money for throughout your life. And then on top of that, you have money that you're putting away into the stock market for those big long-term financial goals. Now, to understand like TFSAs and stocks to buy, which is all the actual like investing part, definitely go to Joy E, because she breaks it down very easily. And obviously she's taught me a lot about that, but it is honestly so much more easy than people think when it comes to investments with stocks. Because realistically, it's okay. Let's say you're taking $100 out of your paycheck every single month, and you're going to use that $100 to buy 3 stocks. It's going to be TD, it's going to be S&P 500, it's going to be whatever. And that money is away and that money is invested. And every single month you're putting away $100. But on top of that, you're not just putting away $100 now, you are making money off of that $100 because of compound interest, because of whatever that stock is at, things like that. I don't do day trading. I don't like buy stocks and sell them and this, that. I literally just put money away every single month. And then I pick the stocks that I know that are going to be safe and that are going to be good. again, you can go into that whole entire, like, which stock should I buy, this, that, go to Joy. She has a lot of information, or literally just find somebody on YouTube, a finance YouTuber. They'll teach you so much about that. But my best piece of advice is, even if you only have like $50 a month that you can put towards your stocks, and or hopefully, well, it should be your emergency fund like first, really, but whatever it is, put it away. And I can guarantee you can find an extra $10, $20, $30, $50 a month that you are spending on something that you should not really be spending your money on, that this money is really going to make a difference in your life because of compound interest. You're making money off of the money that you put away. It's not just sitting at the same amount every single year. Now, somebody asked me to talk about monetizing content creation, and I did make an episode. I titled it, It's Giving Girl Boss, and it's episode 52. So I would suggest go to that episode because I do break down all my streams of revenue when it comes to making money as a content creator. But one thing I will say, and I probably said it in that episode, but if you are wanting to become a content creator, or really anything, right? Any entrepreneur type of vibe that you're on, you want to start your own business, you want to sell your own, like, I don't know, you want to be a coach, you want to sell products on Etsy, you want to sell your artwork, you want to work for whatever it is, anything to do really social media or not, but you being your kind of your own business woman, just remind yourself that things take time, okay? So it took time for me to build these revenue streams that I currently have right now. It took me time to establish myself on YouTube, on podcasts. It took me being consistent, me believing in myself, obviously me getting clear with the vision that I hold for myself and who I want to be, what type of content creator I want to be, what type of podcaster, the things that I want to have extensions of myself. Like, I got very clear with that. And then I started to take those actions. And yes, when I first started, I was not making money on YouTube. I wasn't making money on podcasts. It didn't take me very long to start getting brand deals, but still the brand deals were quite inconsistent. And on top of that, there were some brand deals that were like a lot of money, but some of them were very low because I just didn't have that much engagement and I just didn't have like my whole like platform set out. And on top of that, like with coaching or selling my guides or whatever other money that I make, like that didn't just happen. Like tomorrow I decide to like put out all my services or put out all my content, I'm making all this money. Like, it took time and I knew that, but understanding that good things take time. And I don't want to put it in your head like you have to wait this whole entire like 5 years before you make money, because it can happen quickly. And I find it can happen. I mean, we can go on a whole another tangent about manifesting and abundance, which we will talk about. We're going to talk about, which we will definitely add that financial piece into that. But things can happen very, very quickly for you. It happened very quickly for me, a quantum leap. Honestly, I will just say this, and I'm not trying to flex on you guys or anyone. And I'm very, very humble when it comes to making money and my financial situation. But I'll just say this here because I think that I deserve to say this, considering the life that I was given, I was put in, even the stupid mistakes that I made in my life and how I transformed my whole entire life. I make a shit ton of money, okay? And I'm very fucking proud of it. And I did that because I decided to change my mindset and I decided to go for exactly what I wanted. And I showed myself that it was possible and I did the damn thing. And this is just, I don't know, maybe inspiration for you to remind you that you can get out of a very crappy financial situation in your life, but it does take time. It takes you committing to the work, and it also really takes you focusing on what you are also here to do in life. I get that we sometimes don't have the luxury to just be like, what's my dream career, and just like make money doing that thing. It takes time. When I first was honestly, I was making pretty good money when I was bartending and I was serving and I was like busting my ass and I was working that other job. It was still not a job that I wanted to do. And I just reminded myself, like, it's not going to be forever. I don't have to be. I did not like bartending, actually. Like, I really did not like it. I didn't like the late nights. It was very stressful. It was whatever, but I just focused on the positive. I focused on making more money and being grateful for what I had. And I just kept going and I kept going and I kept freaking grinding and I kept learning what it was that I was here to even do, which was right now what I'm doing in this moment of my life. And I went towards that. I don't believe you're just supposed to be here and you're supposed to be poor and you're supposed to be struggling and be in this crappy situation. But it's going to be up to you to make those decisions and change and trust. And I know it's hard to just trust that abundance is coming and like trust that you're going to make money, but you really have to have that mindset, because if you don't, then you will focus on the lack, and you focusing on the lack will not get you what it is that you want in your life which is abundance. And now I'm at a point in my life where literally, like I've been saying, it's just like night and day, the way that I look at money, how I trust when money is going to come in. Like, obviously, I have used the masculine structure of getting myself sorted out and taking action and making budgets and plans and goals. But then I did work on that mindset piece in my emotional side of experiencing lack or abundance. And I ebb and flow through making sure that I have a structure, right? The structure is going to make you feel very safe, but also you do need that inner dialogue and that feminine, nurturing side of a voice, a mothering voice, whatever you want to call it, and reminding yourself like, you are going to be okay. Things are going to work out. Things are going to happen in your favor. Like, you have to cultivate that side of yourself as well. And I think sometimes when people hear about manifesting in abundance, they hear the feminine side of it and they're like, no, like, you can't just tell yourself like, trust in the universe and you're going to make money. Like, obviously not. You have to have that masculine structure in, but you also don't want to just be in the masculine structure, because sometimes you end up moving into scarcity because your masculine structure sometimes is not even right. The plans are not even properly in place. Or on top of that, you're just so in that toxic masculine structure to the point where you become very unhappy and unsatisfied because you don't have that feminine side of things where it's more spiritual. It's more you just trusting in the unknown, in the unseen. And, we can create all of these structures, action plans, goals, but there's always going to be a part, in my personal opinion, when it comes to money, there's going to be, and it's going to be very helpful for you to tap in and understand that there's going to be things that you're not able to see yet that you have to trust in order for you to really bring in that abundance. And it's hard for people to trust that like money's coming and opportunities are always happening and there's a lot of money to go around, but that just takes you reprogramming your mind and you learning how to tell yourself a new story. And one last thing I will say is it definitely does help when you look up to people who are doing the thing that you want. And on top of that, have a mindset that is the abundance mindset, where they do trust that things are coming to them, that they are more low stressed, or, they work smart, they don't work hard. Obviously they work hard, but they don't like burn themselves out. Showing yourself that it's possible, really finding those people who have what you want and following the blueprints, using them as mentors, even if you can't actually talk to them one-on-one, but like looking at what people are doing and seeing, even for me, I know for you guys, a lot of the times, like when you guys want to be content creators, you're seeing how I've done things and how I make money and how did it happen and my stories. Like, use that as fuel, as motivation. Don't focus on the people who don't have what you want in your life, the people who are feeding you negative stories and lack mindsets, and you should work super hard and like you should burn yourself to the ground, this, that, and the third. Like, no, you don't have to do that. You have to surround yourself with people who are someone that you really want to become. So my takeaway is this: if I have learned anything about finances, becoming a rich girly, entering my whatever wealth abundance era, is this goes so much deeper than we even really think. And honestly, like, if you can just commit to your mindset, your practical steps, taking things day by day, really reprogramming your mind, you will get into this abundance mindset that everyone's talking about. But it's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be you doing a meditation one morning and then like your whole life is going to change, or that you telling yourself an affirmation about, oh, trust the universe, and then like that's how you're going to like manifest $1 million. You can get $1 million, but it's going to take you having that masculine structure, you really looking at where you're at in your life and taking those actionable steps and educating yourself and committing to doing the work, but also having more of that spiritual practice, that trust in the unknown, and reminding yourself that you just didn't come here to be in scarcity. You didn't come here to be in lack. And learning when to self-correct, learning when to introspect, learning when to be aware of, am I falling too much in the scarcity, or am I a little bit too much in the abundance and I don't have a structure? Like, really being aware of where you're at in your life constantly. Like, this is a journey. Accept it and enjoy it and go on this journey. So when it comes to resources, the Savvy Spender Official, I think, has some pretty good saving and budgeting tips, things like that. If you're interested in that, you can simply, though, honestly go into Pinterest and find any sort of like monthly budget, how to monthly budget, where to put your money, how much money I should put away for this, depending on like your job or this, that. The Broke Black Girl on Instagram as well. She has a lot of financial tips that are really good. Although I honestly personally don't love the wording of like calling yourself broke or calling yourself whatever, because I think your language definitely has such a big impact on how you view yourself, and how you view yourself is very important because you take action based off of how you view yourself, but that's really irrelevant. Like, that is just my opinion. Anyways, she has really good information if you want to check it out. My friend Joy Yang, she has lots of good information on stocks. Now, I haven't read this book, but I heard it was really, really good, and it's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to say his name. I'm going to spell it. Ramit. His last name is Sethi. He also has a Netflix series, I believe, but I don't know where that's available, but I heard it was really good. So I say all that to say, make a plan, get clear, commit, pay off your debts, take that action, focus on the positive, focus on the things that you can change, do those gratitude lists if you need to. Grab my journal guide if you're really struggling with being in the scarcity mindset. Don't overwhelm yourself. Literally just pick one day out of the month where you're gonna sit down and do your budget, where you're spending, tracking your spending, goals. Are you hitting them? Are you slacking? What do you need to do to kind of like tighten things up for yourself and get clear with what it is that you're even doing, where you're going in your life? Take an inventory of how much time you're spending wasting, not even your money, but like your time wasted doing things that could be put into your future life, and watch where you will be in the next 6 months. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, all the links will be down below. If you like this episode on Spotify, please let me know. And also let me know in the comments on YouTube. Let me know if you want me to expand on anything further when it comes to finances. Like, I mean, there's so many ways that we could go, like dive super, super deep into it. I feel like, honestly though, after summer, like when summer dies down, I think there definitely will be room for another series when it comes to finances and abundance mindset and getting ourselves on track, because I just know I will feel like I want to like tighten up things because it's summer, you're spending a lot and this, that, and like I do make sure that I have enough money and I'm spending correctly. But I just feel like to have some sort of challenge, especially as you go from summer into the fall and you're prepping for Christmas season, and people really struggle around that time when it comes to money. And also I think that's such a good time for us to put our time and attention on things to make more money for ourselves. Like, where can we start a side project or a side hustle or get ourselves going? Like, I think that is such a good time to do that. So I think a series could definitely come. But yeah, let me know what you guys liked, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.